For weeks, my deliveries went missing. Then I planted a glitter bomb and set up a hidden camera. The thief thought he was clever, until the footage revealed my neighbor in sparkling shame. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who needed a hidden camera. My neighborhood was quiet, safe, the kind of place where people wave to each other while mowing their lawns. But a few months ago, something started happening that turned my little bubble of trust upside down. Packages? My packages kept disappearing. At first, I thought it was just a mistake. I'd ordered a set of books from Amazon, and the app said delivered. But when I got home from work, the porch was empty. No package. I figured maybe it was delayed or left at the wrong house. It happens, right? But then it happened again and again. First, it was the books. Then it was a kitchen gadget I'd been excited about. Then a box of skincare I'd splurged on. Each time, Amazon swore it was delivered. Each time I checked my porch. Nothing. Daniel, my husband, suggested it was porch pirates, strangers driving around and snatching packages. That explanation made sense, but something didn't sit right with me. Our street wasn't exactly a highway for strangers. It was tucked away, with only residents driving in and out. And the timing. Somehow, my packages always vanished within an hour of delivery, almost like someone was watching. One afternoon, I decided to get home early. I parked down the street so no one would notice and waited. Sure enough, around 3 p.m., the Amazon truck pulled up. I watched as the driver dropped a medium-sized box on my porch. My heart raced. Would it finally stay there? Nope. Less than 20 minutes later, I saw movement. From my car window, I spotted someone casually walking up my driveway. My jaw dropped when I realized it wasn't some stranger in a hoodie. It was my neighbor, my actual neighbor. He bent down, scooped up the package, and strolled back toward his house like he'd just picked up his morning paper. No hesitation, no guilt, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I sat frozen in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel. 1,000 thoughts raced through my head. Did he really just... Was I imagining this? Was there some explanation? But deep down, I knew. My missing packages hadn't been stolen by random porch pirates. They'd been stolen by the man who lived 2 doors down. That night, I told Daniel what I'd seen. He looked furious but skeptical. Are you sure? Maybe he thought it was his? Packages get misdelivered all the time. Daniel, I said, my voice trembling. I saw him walk up, look at my porch, and take it without hesitation. That wasn't a mistake. Daniel rubbed his temples. Okay, but if we accuse him, it could get ugly. We need proof. And that was the moment I decided. Proof was exactly what I was going to get. Have you ever had a delivery go missing from your porch? Or do you know someone who has? Once I realized my neighbor was the thief, I couldn't unsee it. Every time I stepped outside, I felt his presence. Every time I heard footsteps on the sidewalk, I wondered if it was him, prowling around like he owned my porch. But Daniel was right. We couldn't just knock on his door and accuse him. Without proof, it would be my word against his, and he'd probably laugh in my face. Worse, he could twist it around and make me look like the crazy neighbor. So, I needed evidence. Solid, undeniable, caught-on-tape evidence. That's when the idea of a hidden camera came to me. I ordered a small Wi-Fi-enabled security camera online, ironically from Amazon. The irony wasn't lost on me. I set it to deliver to a pickup locker at a nearby store, just in case my porch pirate tried to strike again. When I finally unboxed it, I felt like a secret agent preparing for a sting operation. The tricky part was placement. It couldn't be obvious. If he spotted it, he'd just avoid it, or worse, destroy it. I tested a few spots, tucked in a potted plant, angled from the upstairs window, hidden behind a decorative lantern. After some trial and error, I found the perfect angle. From the corner of my porch, disguised inside a fake birdhouse, the camera had a clear shot of the front steps. Daniel helped me connect it to my phone. We tested it out. Every time someone walked up, I'd get a notification and a live feed. It even recorded clips automatically. For the first time in weeks, I felt a surge of control. The very next day, I put the plan into action. I ordered something small, a pair of socks, nothing flashy, a perfect decoy. When the Amazon driver left the package on my porch, I watched through the app, heart pounding. The minutes crawled by. 10 minutes, 15, nothing. Maybe he wasn't going to bite this time. Then, movement. The camera buzzed to life and there he was. My neighbor, in broad daylight, walking up my driveway like he owned it. He glanced around once, then grabbed the box. Smooth, casual, like he'd done it 100 times before. I couldn't believe it. My hands shook as I replayed the video. There it was, clear as day. His face, his body, his hand snatching my package. Proof. I wanted to run over and confront him right then, but Daniel held me back. Not yet, he said firmly. Let him hang himself. The more evidence we get, the stronger our case. He was right. One video was good, but a pattern would be bulletproof. So I waited and ordered another decoy and another. Every time the same thing happened, delivery truck drops it off. Minutes later, my neighbor strolls up pretending to be casual and takes it. Each theft captured perfectly on my hidden camera. With every video, my anger grew, but so did my satisfaction. Because now I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was building a case. Would you trust your instincts in this situation? Or would you assume it was just random theft? Over the next 2 weeks, I turned into a woman on a mission. I ordered decoys like a pro, cheap little items that didn't matter if they disappeared, a phone charger, a paperback book, even a roll of duct tape. And every single time, like clockwork, he showed up. The first few times I felt nervous, watching my phone light up with notifications. But after a while, I started to anticipate it, almost like a sick little game. Delivery truck arrives. Timer starts. Within half an hour, my neighborly thief would stroll up, glance left and right, and scoop the package into his greedy hands. The hidden camera captured everything. His smug expression, his casual gait. Sometimes he even whistled, like stealing from me was just part of his daily routine. By the 5th video, I stopped feeling shocked and started feeling furious. Who did he think he was? Did he see me as some kind of easy target? Did he assume I'd just keep ordering replacements, shrugging it off while he stocked his house with my things? I showed Daniel every clip, and he was just as angry as I was. He's not just stealing stuff, he's stealing from you. Your time, your money, your peace of mind. Exactly. But Daniel's voice of reason kept me steady. Don't act too fast. Let's get enough that he can't talk his way out of it. When we confront him or the police do, it'll be checkmate. So I kept going. Each delivery became another piece of ammunition. By the 8th video, I had a collection so damning, even a blind man could see what was happening. But here's the part that really got me. One afternoon, I decided to watch from the upstairs window while my phone recorded. And as he picked up my latest decoy package, he looked right at my house. Not just a glance, a look. It wasn't fear. It wasn't guilt. It was smugness. As if he knew I was too weak to do anything about it. That stare lit a fire in me I didn't know I had. This wasn't just about stolen boxes anymore. This was about respect, about principle, about the fact that this man thought he could walk all over me and I'd just take it. Number, not anymore. By the 10th theft, Daniel and I had hours of footage. We could have gone to the police right then, but something inside me wanted more. I didn't just want him punished. I wanted him embarrassed, exposed. I wanted the entire neighborhood to see the man they thought was friendly, helpful, trustworthy, revealed for who he really was. So instead of stopping, I started planning, not just to catch him, to ruin him. If you were setting up a hidden camera, where's the first place you'd put it? Porch, mailbox, or somewhere else? By now, I had more than enough proof. 10 separate videos of my neighbor stealing packages off my porch, each one clearer than the last. If I'd handed them to the police, he would have been toast already. But that wasn't enough for me. I didn't just want him arrested, I wanted him humiliated. I wanted him to feel the way I did every time I walked up to an empty porch. Powerless, violated, angry. So I started crafting the perfect trap. I brainstormed with Daniel late one night at the kitchen table, sipping coffee like we were plotting some high-stakes heist. What if, I said slowly, we leave him a package he thinks he wants, but when he opens it, it completely backfires? Daniel grinned. Like what? Glitter bomb? I smirked. Exactly. Glitter, dye, stink spray. Something that explodes the second he opens it. Something messy and unforgettable. Daniel leaned back in his chair thinking, okay, but we need to be careful. We can't do anything dangerous, just humiliating. That was fine with me. I didn't want to hurt him. I wanted to destroy his pride. So we went shopping. Craft stores, hardware stores, even a gag shop downtown. I picked up everything. Glitter in every color, powdered dye that stained skin for days, a spring-loaded mechanism from an old prank kit, and a canister of skunk spray that smelled so foul, I gagged just holding it. At home, we assembled it like mad scientists. We used a regular Amazon box, weighted with books at the bottom so it felt real. Inside, we built a rig that would spray glitter and stink the moment the box was opened. Daniel rigged a small spring so it would pop with force, coating the opener in sparkling humiliation and that rancid smell. It was evil, and it was perfect. The night before the big test, I set the box in the middle of the living room and just stared at it. All that frustration, all those nights of feeling helpless, they were packed into that little cardboard cube. My hands tingled with anticipation. The next day, I placed it on the porch like bait. The hidden camera was armed. My phone notifications were on loud, and then I waited. Sure enough, the Amazon driver came by around 2 p.m. He dropped the decoy package neatly on the doormat. I could barely sit still, my heart pounding. 10 minutes later, I saw him, my neighbor, walking down the sidewalk, casual as ever. He turned into my driveway, whistling, strolled right up like the porch was his. He bent down, picked up the package, and carried it away under his arm. I grinned, my pulse racing. The trap had been set, and he had taken the bait. How would you react if you discovered it was your neighbor stealing your packages? I don't think I blinked once after watching him carry that box back to his house. My phone sat in my lap, the live feed open from the camera. I couldn't hear anything from inside his place, of course, but my imagination filled in the gaps. Daniel sat beside me, his arm draped over the couch, eyes glued to the screen. Any second now, he muttered. I gripped his hand, my pulse pounding in my ears. Then it happened. Even from across the street, I could see it through his front window. A poof of rainbow glitter shot up like a firework. Sparkles rained everywhere, catching the light as they clung to his clothes, his hair, his skin. He stumbled back, coughing, as the stink spray burst into the air. Daniel and I burst out laughing, clutching our sides. I swear I've never laughed that hard in my life. It was ridiculous, over the top, and absolutely perfect. But the best part? He bolted out of his front door seconds later, gagging and covered in shimmering gold and blue specks. He looked like some bizarre disco ball zombie staggering into the sunlight, his shirt soaked, his hair matted with glitter. The camera caught every second. I pressed record on my phone, zooming in. Oh my God, I whispered, shaking with laughter. He looks like he lost a fight with a kindergarten art class. Daniel chuckled. And smells like a skunk, I bet. That spray's no joke. My neighbor glanced around, wild-eyed, like he was checking to see if anyone had noticed. But the thing about glitter is, you can't hide it. It was in his hair, in his beard, stuck to his arms. His driveway sparkled like fairy dust. And then, icing on the cake, his wife came outside. She stopped dead, hands on her hips, staring at him like he'd just rolled in radioactive waste. From where I sat, I couldn't hear her words, but her face said everything. What the hell happened to you? He waved his arms, pointing at the box, then at my house, then back to himself. His wife just shook her head, marched back inside, and slammed the door. I nearly fell off the couch laughing. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt free, empowered, vindicated. He wasn't just stealing my packages anymore. He was the fool in his own circus act, painted in glitter for the world to see. I saved the footage immediately, labeling it Glitter Justice. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. This was just the opening act. Because while the glitter bomb was satisfying, I wanted more. I wanted him exposed, not just to me, not just to his wife, but to everyone. The entire neighborhood needed to see who their friendly neighbor really was. And trust me, I already had a plan. Be honest, would you have set up a glitter bomb? Or would you have called the police right away? The glitter bomb had been satisfying, beyond satisfying, really. For days afterward, I caught glimpses of him still sparkling in the sunlight. No matter how hard he scrubbed, glitter has a way of clinging like guilt. And the stink? It lingered, too. Every time he stepped outside, it seemed like a faint, rotten cloud followed him. But as funny as it was, I knew that prank alone wouldn't stop him. He was a thief, and thieves don't just quit because they've been embarrassed once. I needed to go bigger. So Daniel and I started planning the next phase, public exposure. We had more than enough footage, 10 clear videos of him stealing from my porch, plus the glitter bomb finale. Together, it was damning. But how to share it? Police? Daniel suggested. Eventually, I said. But first, the neighborhood needs to see this. They think he's this nice, helpful guy. They wave to him, borrow tools from him, invite him to barbecues. They should know who he really is. Daniel grinned. You want to humiliate him. Exactly. So we made a plan. Our neighborhood had a community Facebook group, mostly filled with yard sale posts, dog photos, and the occasional rant about trash pickup. I was an active member, and I knew people actually paid attention there. One evening, I drafted a post. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I typed, "Hey neighbors, has anyone else had packages go missing lately?" Because I finally figured out what's been happening to mine. And let's just say, it wasn't porch pirates. Then I attached the videos, all of them, one after another, him strolling up, taking my boxes, glancing around like a wannabe criminal mastermind. And finally, the pièce de résistance, the glitter bomb footage. Daniel and I watched as the comments rolled in. First a few shocked emojis. Then, "Oh my God, that's Greg. He lives 2 doors down from me. Are you kidding me? I thought he was such a nice guy. He borrowed my lawnmower last month and never gave it back. That glitter bomb though, haha." Within an hour, the post had exploded. Over 100 comments, dozens of shares, people tagging each other. Everyone was talking about it. The next morning, I saw him walking down the street, shoulders hunched, avoiding eye contact. No casual whistling this time. No smug stroll. Just a man who knew the entire neighborhood had seen him caught red-handed and covered in glitter. And the best part? His wife wasn't talking to him. I'd seen her slam the door in his face twice that day. But as satisfying as the neighborhood's reaction was, I knew this was just step 2. Because once the neighbors knew, it was time for the authorities to know. And that was going to be the final nail in his coffin. What's the funniest or most creative revenge you've ever seen on a thief? By the time my Facebook post had made the rounds, my neighbor was practically a ghost. He kept his blinds shut, his car hidden in the garage, and when he did step outside, it was quick and tense, like he was trying not to be seen. But glitter doesn't lie, and neither does video evidence. Still, humiliation alone wasn't enough. He'd stolen dozens of packages, hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and not just from me. After my post went viral in the neighborhood, others started coming forward. Wait, one neighbor commented, "I lost a set of headphones last month." Me too. My son's birthday present never showed up. That explains the random box I saw him carrying one day. It wasn't just me. He'd been preying on the whole block. That was all the push I needed. So one crisp Saturday morning, Daniel and I drove down to the police station with a flash drive full of videos. My palms were sweaty as I handed it to the officer at the desk, half expecting him to brush me off. But when he clicked the first clip and saw my neighbor casually strolling up and pocketing a box, his eyebrows shot up. "You've got plenty here," he said. "This isn't just petty theft, it's a pattern. And we can definitely pursue charges." Hearing those words gave me a rush of validation I hadn't realized I needed. For weeks, I'd felt like I was fighting this battle alone, gaslighting myself into wondering if I was overreacting. But no, the police agreed. I wasn't crazy. I was right. The officer asked a few more questions, took down my statement, and promised to follow up. Daniel squeezed my hand as we left the station, whispering, "He has no idea what's coming." And oh, he didn't. 3 days later, it happened. I was sitting on the porch sipping coffee when a police cruiser pulled up in front of his house. 2 officers got out and knocked on his door. I swear my heart was pounding louder than the knock itself. He answered looking like he hadn't slept in days. His face was pale, his beard still sparkling faintly with stubborn glitter. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I didn't need to. Within minutes, they were leading him down the driveway in handcuffs. His wife stood in the doorway, arms crossed, glaring at him like he was the biggest idiot on earth. And the best part? The entire block came outside. Neighbors peeked from porches, leaned over fences, even filmed on their phones. The same man who used to strut down the street with a fake smile was now the main character in his own downfall. As the cruiser pulled away, Daniel turned to me with the smuggest grin I'd ever seen. From porch pirate to mugshot, guess karma really does deliver. And for the first time in weeks, I finally felt safe again. Do you think the police always take package theft seriously, or does it depend on the evidence? The day my neighbor was arrested was the day the neighborhood gossip mill went into overdrive. If you've ever lived in a suburban cul-de-sac, you know exactly what I mean. By the time the cruiser had turned the corner, Mrs. Reynolds from across the street was already on her phone, probably updating her sister, her book club, and her bridge team all at once. I wasn't above it either. I'll admit it. I sat on my porch swing, sipping my coffee like it was popcorn, watching the spectacle unfold. By that evening, our HOA Facebook group had exploded. Posts ranged from shock to satisfaction. Wow, I never thought he'd actually get caught. Serves him right. I lost 2 packages around Christmas. Bless whoever set up that camera. You're the real MVP. I didn't out myself just yet, but I definitely smiled reading the comments. There's a special kind of vindication that comes when people who doubted you suddenly start singing your praises. Of course, not everyone was thrilled. His wife, Melissa, posted some vague rant about privacy violations and how neighbors should mind their own business. The irony nearly made me choke. Your husband is literally stealing from us, Melissa. What privacy are we violating? The right to commit crimes in peace. Daniel found the whole thing hilarious. Honestly, he whispered one night as we scrolled through the comments together, this is better than Netflix. But behind the entertainment, there was a serious shift in the neighborhood. For weeks, people had been quietly side-eyeing each other, wondering if package thefts were random or targeted. Now they knew the truth. And instead of fear, there was relief. Do you know what this means? Mrs. Reynolds said when she stopped by with a plate of cookies. Yes, she actually did that. She lives for neighborhood drama. We don't have a thief problem anymore. We had a him problem. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the cookies. But the fallout wasn't just online or in whispered conversations. It hit his household hard. The glitter in his beard had faded, but the humiliation stuck. Melissa stopped waving at anyone. Their kids who used to run around the cul-de-sac with mine suddenly weren't allowed outside. Their once perfectly manicured lawn grew patchy as if even the grass was embarrassed. Part of me felt bad for them. Not enough to regret anything, but enough to wonder what was happening inside that house. The neighborhood, though, had never been closer. After his arrest, we started looking out for each other more. People signed up for package lockers, we swapped stories on the Facebook group, and Daniel even organized a block watch night. It was like catching him turned us into a stronger, tighter community. As for me, I was finally sleeping through the night again. No more 2 a.m. checks on the porch, no more anxious pacing when the delivery guy drove off, just peace. And honestly, a little bit of pride. Because I hadn't just caught a thief. I'd protected my neighbors too. How do you think your neighbors would react if someone on your street got caught stealing packages? When the police told me there would be a court hearing, I felt a swirl of emotions. Nervous, excited, and honestly, a little sick to my stomach. I'd never been inside a courtroom before, and the idea of testifying against my own neighbor felt surreal. But when the day came, I put on my sharpest blazer, tied my hair back, and reminded myself, he's the criminal, not me. The courthouse was colder than I expected, all marble floors and echoing footsteps. Daniel held my hand as we sat on the wooden benches, waiting for the bailiff to call our case. Across the aisle sat my neighbor, Mr. Porch Pirate himself. He looked smaller than I remembered, his once smug face drawn and pale. Melissa wasn't with him. That spoke volumes. When it was my turn to testify, my legs felt like jelly. But as soon as the prosecutor played the first video, my nerves turned to steel. There he was, in high definition, strolling up my driveway, looking around like a cartoon villain, then snatching my box. The courtroom chuckled when the second clip, the glitter bomb, played. Glitter erupted into his face, sticking to his beard and shirt. Even the judge cracked the faintest smile. The defense attorney tried to downplay it. Could it be someone else in the video? He asked. I raised an eyebrow. Unless someone cloned my neighbor, then no. He tried another angle. How do we know the packages belong to you? I gestured toward the Amazon receipts I'd brought. Because I bought them. Unless my neighbor also needed size 8 women's running shoes with my name on the shipping label, I think it's pretty clear. The prosecutor smirked. The defense attorney deflated like a balloon. But the real kicker came when other neighbors testified. Mrs. Reynolds told the judge about the headphones she lost. Mr. Patel down the street described his missing power tools. One by one, people came forward, painting a picture of a man who hadn't just stolen boxes. He'd stolen trust from an entire community. When it was all over, the judge leaned back and shook his head. Frankly, I'm astonished, he said. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a deliberate pattern of theft, and the evidence is overwhelming. My neighbor's eyes darted to the floor. For once, he had nothing to say. The judge sentenced him to community service, restitution for the stolen items, and 6 months of probation. It wasn't jail, but it was enough to strip away the last shreds of his pride. As we walked out of the courthouse, Daniel squeezed my shoulder. You killed it in there, he whispered. And you know what? He was right. I wasn't just the woman who caught a thief on camera. I was the woman who stood up, fought back, and won. If you had to testify against a neighbor in court, would you feel nervous or empowered? After the court case, things in the neighborhood felt lighter, like we'd all collectively exhaled. The tension that had lingered on our street for months vanished almost overnight. Packages sat on porches again without worry. Delivery drivers smiled a little wider. And every time I saw an Amazon truck pull up, I felt relief instead of dread. My neighbor, though, he became a ghost. With community service hours eating up his weekends and the humiliation of being branded the package thief, he stopped showing his face. The man who once strutted around with fake friendliness now slunk from his car to his house without so much as a glance. Melissa eventually filed for divorce, or so I heard through the grapevine. Honestly, I didn't blame her. Glitter might wash off, but shame sticks. For me, the whole ordeal was a strange mix of exhausting and empowering. I'd gone from doubting myself, wondering if I was overreacting, to becoming the one who stood up not just for myself, but for my entire block. It felt good knowing I didn't just protect my own packages. I protected birthdays, anniversaries, and all the little surprises people send each other to show love. One afternoon, Mrs. Reynolds stopped by with another plate of cookies. You know, she said, patting my arm, we should make you honorary president of the neighborhood watch. I laughed, but Daniel jumped in immediately. Careful, she'll set up glitter traps all over the block. We all cracked up at that. Humor had become the silver lining of the whole experience. Even months later, people still joked about the Great Glitter Incident. It was like a badge of honor for our community, proof that we didn't just sit back when someone tried to take advantage of us. And for me personally, I learned that trusting my instincts matters. I'd almost gaslit myself into ignoring the thefts, into thinking maybe I was just unlucky. But the moment I trusted myself enough to act, everything changed. Now, when I see a package sitting on my porch, I smile. Not just because it's something I ordered, but because it represents peace of mind. I earned that peace. I fought for it. Every once in a while, I'll catch a faint sparkle of glitter in the cracks of my porch steps, a tiny reminder of how it all started. And every time I see it, I grin. Because glitter, like justice, has a way of sticking around. So if anyone ever asks me what it was like to catch a package thief, I'll tell them this. It wasn't just about catching him. It was about reclaiming my home, my trust in my neighborhood. And in the end, the best delivery I ever got wasn't from Amazon. It was justice. What lesson do you think this story teaches about standing up for yourself and your community?